fans, episode 43 of the Hooks in MMA podcast. We've got a great episode ahead of us, so let's get into the guests. First up, we've got the Polak, Krzysztof Jotko. He's joining us here. He's been away from the octagon for a little while, so it'll be nice to see him back in action this Saturday night in the UFC Fight Night Reyes Prochazka. So make sure to tune into that one. We also have another fighter on the card, Kai, the fighting Hawaiian Kamaka the third. He's going to be fighting as well as an underdog, so we might have some value picks ready for him, and very exciting interview as well. Hot headline news, got a lot to break down. UFC 261 recap, one of the best cards of the year, if not the decade, if not all time, to speak about. Talking a little bit about Diego the Nightmare Sanchez being cut today, TJ Dillashaw getting injured and pulling out of his fight. And then we had another too close for comfort in the weigh-ins. So we're going to be talking a bit about that. And then getting ahead of that book, Easy Lines is going to be covering that fight night tomorrow. Got a lot of underdogs that we're going to be placing some bets on. So make sure to tune in and write down Z-Ball's picks. Zoni, why don't you start us off with a bit of a recap there of that banger of a pay-per-view last weekend?
Yeah, fantastic. So I believe the first fight of the night was the fight of the night. Kicked off the card incredibly. Got you pumped to watch the rest of the card. There were a couple fights in the middle of the card that were a little slower, but in terms of the entire card, as you said, one of the best one in recent memory. And yeah, just the main card kicked off. A couple of brutal things happened, some unfortunate things. You saw a replica of the Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman leg break on the opposite side. Obviously, it wasn't even a check by Uriah Hall. He just kind of stuck his knee out. And Chris Weidman was talking today after, coming through surgery and just in healing now that as soon as he threw that kick, like nothing even came to his mind about anything being wrong. And then as he came back down and put his foot to the ground, and you could see that foot touch the ground, and there was no give at all. Like it just totally went out, and he went right to the ground. That's when he knew he had broke his leg. It must have been an immediate, adrenaline thing that happened that caused that, because you would think as soon as you break it. And I know Ben, unfortunately, don't want to bring that up, but in football, with similar thing happened to you. You weren't fighting somebody, but similar thing happened to you. Can only imagine that happening and the pain that you must be going through once that adrenaline goes away. However long that may be, you can talk about that. But yeah, and then Jimmy Crute obviously too wanted to come back out in the next round there, but he basically said after the fight he was just going to kind of crawl out there and pull guard and hope for the best. But they called that fight probably as they should. He looked to be very compromised. And then you got your three title fights. Rose looked better than she ever has, landing that left high kick, fantastic. And then Valentina was yeah, that's what Joe Rogan looked like, and the whole crew. Valentina, fantastic as well. Is there anybody at 125 for her? I don't think so. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then obviously Usman with the hardest punch in MMA history, probably, putting out Jorge for the first time in his career. So just an overall amazing night, fantastic card. And, it's going to be hard to top that for the rest of the year.
Yeah, the amount of sweat that just came off of George in that punch was just amazing. Again, like I said to you guys in our group chat there, I thought that was only possible in movies, but apparently it's possible in real life as well. And it was just an amazing shot, beautiful technique. For some reason, I love when guys get knocked out and like they fall onto the guy that just knocked them out, and like their body is going like, that's exactly what happened to George. It looks so good. And kind of sweet justice for kind of the stuff he did follow up to Ben Askren. What he did there didn't really sit quite well with me. So Usman kind of getting a little bit of payback there. But I think the real story, or like one of the big stories there, is Trevor Whitman as a coach, coaching both Rose and Usman to a win that night. Like, they're super impressive. You could even see in the embedded episodes in the lead up, it's like Usman, like Whitman was training Usman, they're holding the pads, and then Pat shows up like saying, "Oh, you got to come next door for Rose," and he's just kind of standing there waiting for Trevor to make his moves over next door to where Rose is, right? So he had his time really split, but he handled it, perfectly, it seemed like, and he coached them both to a win, which is, when both really super impressive wins, as you said. So yeah, great night of fight.
Franzi?
Yeah, hell of a night. I would say that's a good call out, see, for Whitman. Most fans probably wouldn't have even guessed that. I don't think the commentators really acknowledged it much. So, they're kind of behind the scene heroes in a sense. Like, I know we've had a few guests, Nick Sick and
Eddie Chaw.
Eddie Chaw, yeah, just recently,
Baracco.
right?
Eddie Baracco too.
Eddie Brocco, and they kind of just fly under the radar. I don't think they get enough credit that they deserve. So hopefully this might shine a light on their involvement. We always kind of hear the opposite when it's someone like Mike Perry who doesn't have someone in his corner, and all the
if Mike Perry went to go train in Colorado right now with Whitman, he might be new welterweight champ. Like seriously, it's just that would be unreal. That would be unreal.
That proves the value in having a good coach and a good corner, right? Like, I think that's a perfect example. And then when you don't, on the other end of the spectrum is a Mike Perry who just kind of,
that's his own
wayside.
Right. And so I think there's a huge element that's kind of overshadowed, right, by like the physical and like violent side of it. There is that strategy, having a game plan, having a coach that's keeping you focused, keeping you on your game plan. So anyways,
just as you say that though, I'll just throw out Eddie Baracco. We had him on. He's basically the main coach for Cody Stamen tomorrow night, who's also been on Hooks In here. So let's hope that the game plan and the strategy from Baracco works with Stamen tomorrow.
Absolutely. Like, you look at someone like Josh Gentleman Hill, one of our close friends. He's, down with Team Alpha Male. And I don't think that's really looked at. People just look at the records, who they've beaten recently, but they don't really, dig a few layers deeper to see what preparation's really going into some of these fights. So yeah, nice call out. See, that's a great point. The whole leg injury stuff was kind of crazy, back-to-back fights. Yeah, having breaking my leg myself, I did the same thing, tried to stand on it, not weight bearing, you collapse to the ground, and your adrenaline, only lasts so long. So heart goes out to Weidman, hope he can recover. And yeah, like to Z's point about Usman's punch, talking about movies and that, what comes to mind is the old Gatorade commercials. Do you remember those where it shows like the sweat,
the color
off, and it's and it's so like over exaggerated, so fake. That actually flashed.
It actually looked like it.
It did, and I'm like, that reminds me of or one of those like video game boxing video games.
Oh yeah,
those EA Fight Nights where like it's slow mo and like all the shit explodes.
100%.
Like, I was getting these weird. I'm like, this, like, it's so crazy how powerful it is, right? In real time, like.
Yeah.
And then you watch the replays and it's like frame by frame. It's like, holy. And then his shoulder like leans into him as he's just like out cold. Man alive.
Yeah, he was punching through him there. Like, you could like his like Usman's whole body was already past where Reyes was. Like, he was punching right through him. And that's why. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Jorge gave him a shout out after and said he talked about the beauty in the art of fighting, and he said it looked like Usman was going for a takedown and he kind of feinted down just before, and he went to reach down and then he came up in straight right, and he said he watched that back and he said it was absolutely beautiful, and he gives him nothing but props for it. So
and that's the real thing. That's how, like, people think, oh, Usman's striking is amazing, but it's not even really that great. It's very technical and very sharp and very compact. Right. Oh, it's gone way better. Right. But but it's
Yes.
nothing like, amazing. It's just what allows those punches to happen and allows them to look so good is because of his wrestling, because of the threat that he has with the takedown. That's why guys that's why their chins are open. It's because their hands are down and they're worried about that. So if they're worried, that obviously just makes it a lot easier. You don't have to punch as hard or as fast or whatever. You just have to get it in the right spot. Boom, when they're not expecting, and you got yourself a knockout like that, right? So I think that's really because he's such a complete fighter. That's why he's been able to start finishing people, right? He's combined that now. So
said another way, it's kind of like a football team establishing the run game. That opens up your passing game, right? Because then the defense has to adjust, and then you get this one-on-one coverage on the outside. So, it's another thing, another technical aspect that the average fan doesn't really look at. But you could kind of tell from that Burns fight, right? Like, I remember seeing Usman there. I'm like, holy shit, he looks like a totally different guy. Like, he's put a lot of time into that. And the little feints, the little nuances really go a long way. So, looking forward, though, what do you guys think's next for, let's call those three champions? What do you think's in their near future here in terms of a next matchup?
I'll just throw out Valentina. Looks to be the winner of Lauren Murphy and Joanne Calderwood. She should win either one of those with ease. Rose, it looks like it either be a Whaley rematch or it could be I don't know, Joanna maybe or something like that. But they've already fought twice. I'm trying to think. There was someone else they were saying maybe. They were saying Whaley maybe coming up to 125 potentially to fight Valentina. Sorry. And then Rose, I don't know. That one's tough at 115. You got some good young gals coming up. And then Usman, it's they say it's Covington, but I still don't think he deserves it. I think if Leon wipes the floor with Nate, which he certainly could, I mean, he'll be on a 9-fight win streak. I mean, I don't know why their obsession with Colby and Usman is so high, but Usman said he wanted to fight Khabib, but he thinks that's done because Khabib's retired. That would be, one of the biggest super fights ever. That's probably not going to happen. So I guess it's Colby next, but I'd like to see personally Edwards, and then hopefully Chimaev can get a win or two and maybe earn that shot in the next year. That would be good for TV. What do you guys think?
Yeah, certainly Edwards is a fight that I want to see with Usman. We've already seen Colby. So, I mean, if Colby came in and made some really, really good adjustments, I think that fight could be all right as well. But the thing is that Usman's gotten so much better since that fight as well. So, it could be another kind of domination by him. But Colby just, he let himself get hit way too much by this, in this first, second, third round, basically, right? And it all started adding up. He was landing his own shots, certainly, but he was getting hit really bad. And it all added up to like when that TKO happened, I think it was the end of the fourth, maybe the fifth round. So, he's going to have to make huge adjustments in order for that fight to kind of end up being interesting. And I think he will. And certainly I'll watch. But Edwards, I think that's a new challenge for him. He has length. He's going to have a reach on him. He's going to be able to kick him. I don't think he's going to be as afraid as those takedowns as everyone else has been, kind of. So, it's gonna. I think that's kind of what's next, at least a welterweight.
Yeah, I don't overly agree with the Colby matchup, but I think that's what's going to happen for two reasons. One, he's more marketable than Edwards. He's just going to sell more pay-per-view buys, I think. And I'm not saying like I agree with what he says or whatever. It's just that he's got a following. The guy's controversial, and that's what sells tickets, unfortunately, right? So I think that's reason number one. Reason number two is I did go rewatch that fight with Usman, and it was really close. I looked at you can look up the scorecards. One judge had it 3-1 Colby going into the fifth round. One had it 3-1 Usman, and the other was 2-2. So there could be an argument to say that Usman kind of got lucky in the fifth round with the finish, and he might have lost if it went to the judges' scorecards. It's kind of a tough argument to me because the champion has to be crushed to lose by decision, right?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
it goes to show that those two fighters match up pretty well.
Yeah.
And here's my early prediction: if that fight does happen, I think that Usman takes him down this time. I think that Colby's going to be, preparing for a stand-up war again, and I think Usman's going to do the inverse, what he did against Masvidal: throw feint for like some sort of combo, and then just go in, take down, and just crush him on the ground.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's kind of an intriguing matchup, actually.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll be watching it, but just I forgot to mention too. So two things. One, Usman and Edwards did fight. That was in 2015, so 6 years ago. But they've both come a long way since then.
Right.
But that's a long time. And then the second thing, I didn't mention anyone for Rose. So Jan, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, and Carla Esparza are fighting. I think the winner of that gets Rose next. You also have Mackenzie Dern and Marina Rodriguez, who are both absolutely fantastic and they're killers. So they could be in line with one more win as well. So Rose, even though she just claimed the first title after losing it and then regaining it, could lose it again against a couple of these competitors. I don't think Esparza is going to win the next fight, and then so Jan would move on, I think, to be the next, in my opinion. If not, you got Mackenzie Dern's an animal, and Marina Rodriguez just knocked out Amanda Ribas. So any of those couple of fighters will give her a go.
Up and comers.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So just quickly to breeze over, Dillashaw had to pull out of this fight. He got accidental headbutt. Sanchez got cut today. I don't know if we need to necessarily break that down. It's what it is. Guy's got some crazy management, so hopefully gets rid of that. I forgot to mention UFC went public this week. So if you guys haven't seen, it's publicly traded on New York Stock Exchange under the Endeavor ticker now. It's up a few bucks since going public, so you might want to throw some shares into your direct deposit there, and will be fun to kind of follow. But yeah, let's talk a bit about the weigh-ins, because we just saw a fiasco 2 weeks ago with Drakkar Klose, and we saw it all over again. So what do you guys think?
Yeah. But this time with Dana White in the middle instead of Sean Shelby. So Dana White, kind of got a taste of his own medicine here. He got caught. And it just goes to show, like, what do you expect these guys to do here? Really? Like, you're gonna step in there and fight him yourself now, Dana? Is that what you're gonna do? No, you're gonna fucking the guy's gonna push him. He's gonna push him. What you have to do is kind of somehow decentivize them or uncentivize them, whatever the right word is there, to get them to not do that, right? That's the only way you're ever going to stop it completely, because you're not going to be able to step in and stop them. But it's pretty interesting. I think Zone, you have a pretty good theory on it as well.
Yeah, I thought you were going to explain it, but
no, it's your idea. I just believe it.
Sean Shelby's he's not just some guy that sits in the corner and takes, a bunch of shots and called out in public here. He's known to get a few people back in a few different ways. So my theory is when he got called out by Dana White, when clearly it wasn't his fault for that happening 2 weeks ago, I think he might have slipped eye on Cutelaba, $1,000, maybe $2,000, and said, well, Dana's out there and we got to make him look bad. So gave him that cash, slipped it in his pocket. He came out, smiled at Dana like he was ready and he knew what was going to happen. Like, hey, Dana, watch this. And then he sticks his arm around his neck, pulls him, and almost the exact same thing happens. We just hope that fight doesn't get canceled tomorrow, last second, while our DraftKings are already put in and it's locked in. So
And he fell down this, like Dustin fell down this. He almost fell off the stage, or he did kind of fall off the stage. So it's like, like if he came back and said, yeah, my ankle's sprained, I would totally believe it. Like it's like they can't go, like, this isn't the fight yet, guys. The fight's tomorrow, or everyone calm down. But it's just so funny. Like, Dana White ends up eating his own words, as he's often had to do in the past. But he's been more right than wrong clearly, right? How rich and successful he's been, but it's nice to see when he's got to take it a little bit, and that's why I think that conspiracy theory, I'm 100% behind it. Shelby definitely gave him some money. You heard it here first, here, like MMA fans. Shelby definitely gave him some sort of money behind stage to kind of get that done, because it was too perfect. It was a little too set up that way.
And if it comes out and gets leaked, he might be maybe he'll have to represent Diego Sanchez in Bellator or something.
He becomes the matchmaker for Diego exclusively.
Yeah.
And let's not forget that Ion is no stranger to controversy. Remember his first fight against Ankalaev, just pretending to be hurt. So of course the ref stops the fight, and then he's like, "No, I'm okay." So clearly the guy doesn't know when the actual fights are happening.
Yeah,
he thinks I don't know what his IQ is, but I can't see it being too high.
And these are the profile, like, Jeremy Stevens. He's clearly a guy that's gonna do that. He's done stuff like that before. He gets way too aggressive. That's the type of guy that he is. Ion Cutelaba, same type of profile. Just he's a bigger version of fucking Stevens. That's it. So it's like these, he's Shelby or whoever, like White, White even said that to Shelby as well. You should know that he's the type of guy, he's a meathead that's going to go crazy. Well, you should have known this about Ion Cutelaba. He's even bigger meathead, literally even bigger meathead.
And they posted either today or yesterday all the clips of you don't know what he's going to do when they do their stare downs. So they show like 6 different things he's done. So like obviously he's going to do it.
He screamed in this face. The one he screamed in. Whose face did he scream into? Fuck, I forget what his name is.
Or no, was it before that?
Oh fuck.
Glover Teixeira?
No, someone else. It was a black guy, but like what's his name though? It's not a big name.
Maybe.
Yeah, could be. But anyways, but like he didn't react at all. Yes, Roundtree. That's it. Right, Khalil Roundtree.
Yeah.
He went like that right in his face, and Roundtree was just like, "Woo!" Like just like that. Yeah. But like, if it were me, I would have fallen off. Like I would have fell backwards.
100%.
Because like, you know what I mean? Like it's like, geez, like, yeah. So you got to expect it with him. But White was sleeping on the job as well, and was just like putting his hand in lazily, like like most of the guys do, and it ended up happening. So I don't know, pretty funny stuff.
Yeah, hey, we're talking about it, so I guess they're doing something right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think that just about rounds out hot headlines, unless you guys can think of any loose ends we haven't covered. Otherwise, we can jump right into easy lines.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. We can jump in here.
Let's get ahead of that book. Z-Ball's got a date with that cashier. Yeah, I know you got couple tricks up your sleeve, Z. So yeah, why don't you share?
Well, yeah, this week, I mean, main kind of analysis is going to be on the main event here. But before we get into that, I'll kind of just go over our performance last week. Easy lines, had one of our best weeks of 2021, certainly going 6-2, making our career record at 119 wins, 78 losses. That's a winning percentage of 60.4%. So of course, we're grinding up this weekend again. Main event should be very, very exciting. I think light heavyweight fight between Dominic Reyes and Yuri Prochazka, I believe, is pretty close. But anyways, despite only having one fight in the UFC, Yuri is a slight favorite at -138, with Reyes coming in at a +110. That one fight Yuri had was a second round knockout of Volkan Oezdemir. Where Yuri displayed, extremely unorthodox, but a very effective striking as well. He keeps his hands extremely low and welcomes his opponents to kind of throw at him, right? But he loves to be in firefights and thrives on kind of taking a shot. Almost seems like he kind of needs a punch to wake himself up in a fight, and then he really, really starts putting it on his opponent after that, and he ends up knocking them out, usually within a minute or two after that, after his opponent kind of lands hard on him. So, but Reyes, he's coming off 2 straight losses. One was last to Jan Blachowicz, and before that was kind of the performance of his career. Actually, I would say, even though he lost a very close decision to John Jones for the championship belt, of course. So I'm taking Reyes here. Cut to the chase pretty much, especially as a dog. I really like Reyes. Yuri is absolutely dangerous here, and won't be surprised if he's able to, finish Reyes in a crazy way of some sort. But I'm going to take experience. He's overall more well-rounded kind of MMA fighter, right? And Reyes, I believe he's going to use his grappling control to take over Yuri. His wild striking, right? Also, Yuri's striking defense is very suspect in my opinion. I mean, he's so offensive that he doesn't need great defense because guys don't know how to handle it or what to do with it, and they don't know how to throw back at him, right? But I think Reyes is going to be able to figure that out, that puzzle out a little bit. Like I said, using the grappling, controlling him. Yes, he has an incredible offensive side here. He does, but he does put pretty good volume. But I think Reyes is going to be able to use his experience here. So after after these two losses, I think Reyes is going to be pretty recharged, refocused, and ready for a solid win over a dangerous Yuri. Also, the odds makers have it pretty heavy on the under here for this fight. That's what they're calling, which I understand certainly. Yes, I realize Yuri has some very heavy hands, but Reyes has a chin. And he's taken some huge shots. Yuri's taken some huge shots from Volkan and ended up winning the fight as well. So I like the over here. Over 1.5 rounds at minus 150, I think is strong value. You can parlay it with some other things we're going to talk about. That's kind of so Reyes and the over, I think looks good here. But what are you guys thinking?
I'm with you on Reyes.
Yep, going Reyes money line as well. The over under, that's an interesting perspective. I was leaning towards the under, but you look at it, there's no value. So
exactly.
From a pure economic standpoint, the over is the play. Just with like probabilities and stuff, right? So
exactly.
That's a very sharp bet, Z, and you just convinced me. I'm gonna jump on that, but I'm gonna throw it in a parlay, of course. It's like a 1.6 decimal, right? So yeah. Nice shout out. I'm game for that.
You're exactly right. Like obviously I don't think this fight's going to go too long. But I could see Reyes winning a decision somehow. But and as you said, it's the value here. There's no value to take. Like even under 2.5 rounds, minus 175. Like that's just that's too much juice on that for me. I'd rather just go that over. Like it's gonna end this end of the second round. Like I think we all can see that. Like 4 minutes into the second round, someone's going to get knocked out. I think we all can see that. It's just not going to happen quite that fast. I don't think so. Again, at least compared to the value that we're getting here. So that's what I'm kind of looking at there. In terms of the co-main event, we have kind of a classic seasoned vet in Cub Swanson taking on Giga Chikadze. I think that's another one I got right, or at least close enough. But overall, I'm taking the veteran here in Cub Swanson. I understand Giga. He's obviously an up and coming guy. He's had a lot of success, but I think Cub Swanson's kind of his veteran status, the experience that he's had, is going to be able to play kind of play at a distance. But the one thing that he's going to have to be careful with is that Giga does have the length and reach here. He's a taller fighter, really long fighter actually for 145. But I think Cub's going to be able to use that amazing footwork that he has, that amazing kind of head movement and stuff, and be able to get in the range to box him up and land his own kick. So Cub Swanson at plus 140. Let's take it at that value. So that's kind of all I got. Mainly, I know you boys got some other ones, some more kind of more value picks here.
Crons, you want to go first?
Yeah, that one, Z. That's a tough one for me. You know what? I'm not going to go against you here, but I will say an alternate bet. I really like the under. And sure, Giga, however you say it, he's had a few decisions here in UFC, but then you look back earlier in his career, the guy had 5 first-round knockouts in a row, wins. And I don't know. I could see this one finishing in the first or second round, and there's value there. The under is 3.5 to 1, which is pretty fucking good. And then even to just say no fight doesn't go the distance is 2.25. So I don't know. Something tells me this one's going to be fireworks and expect a finish of some kind. That's what I'm going to say to our fans here. Zoni?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Fight to not go to the distance plus 125. Let's break that down. Let's get that in there for our fans. Plus 125, not to go to the distance. Love that.
Could see that. Cub's aggressive too, right? Like he comes out swinging.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
Got nothing to lose anymore. He wants performance bonuses, I think, at this point. So, anyways,
he's got flashy striking, and he KO'd Daniel Pineda in the second round last fight.
Yeah.
So,
I think Sony's got some nice value bets up his sleeve, eh?
Yeah, just a couple throw out based on like if this was like, it's hard to explain, but like I love the matchups for these underdogs. Like I'm telling you these underdog picks because I actually like how they match up against the other person. Like, I don't know, if you think about last week, like even like Kamaru and Jorge, like they fought the first time, you knew it was going to happen. Second time, you give Jorge a puncher's chance, but Usman's a horrible matchup for Masvidal. So this is where I see these guys as underdogs being bad matchups for the opposite. So just a couple here. Ronda Marcos, fellow Canadian, she has not been doing well lately. She's been struggling. She, I believe, has got a 500 record, if I'm not mistaken. If she loses this, she's going to be under 500. She's going to get cut. She's fighting a contender series girl with a ton of upside, great on her feet. But Ronda has a way to make things grind it out, and in her wins, that's how she wins. She grinds it out, with takedowns and some top control. And I think she might even slide in an armbar here. But she's got a plus 140 underdog. I like her money line. I think she grinds this one out against. I believe her opponent only has 7 career fights. I think the experience is where I'm going to put my money with on that plus 140. Another bad matchup. So Merab Dvalishvili, 5 straight wins, five fight win streak, going up against Cody Stamann. Cody Stamann's a plus 200. I think that's absolutely insane. Cody Stamann is a wrestler. He has great takedown defense. He has great defense fighting to begin with, but takedown defense, great defense. Merab is all pace and all takedowns. So the only thing that Merab is going to win this fight with is his pace. If he somehow outpaces Cody, he's going to get stuffed a bunch of times, Merab, because Cody's not going to allow the takedown. And I actually think his hands are way better. Merab's hands are horrible standing up. I think it's a horrible matchup for Dvalishvili, and I like the plus 200 Cody Stamann underdog. The last one, Krzysztof Jotko, on our podcast this week. Again, Sean Strickland is one of the toughest motherfuckers around. Standing up, he's going to knock out almost anyone, or at least piece you up. Jotko's not going to stand there and allow him to do this. He's going to make it, grind it out. I can see him clinching against the cage. I can see him taking him down. I love this matchup as well. Plus 225 for money line for Jotko. He's on a 3-fight win streak as well. These aren't by any means like absolute locks because they are the plus side, but these are absolutely great matchups for an underdog and the value that you're getting against the favorites. So those are 3 that I know I'm going to be locking in. I already have. I love the matchups and I wouldn't hesitate if I were you to even go straight up, or maybe you could parlay it with a couple that Z said earlier on.
Yeah, and just by your breakdown zone, like these problematic matchups for the favorites, I think then lead to a higher probability of decision, especially in a 3-round fight. Yeah. So you look at someone like Stamann, it's close to 5-1 odds for him to win by decision. And that's his style of fight, right? He gets on top of you. He just,
he hasn't finished anyone in the UFC yet since he's been in the UFC.
Yeah. So, and then you look at Jotko and he's like 5.5 to 1 odds by decision, which again,
all of his are decisions mostly.
So. Yeah. Gets on top of you. You just, ground and pound, just kind of, wears you down, so to speak. Yeah. And in a 15-minute fight, those are great odds, 5.5 to 1. So anyways,
against tough guys too, like Merab is like a little animal, right? He'd be tough to finish, and Strickland's really hard to finish. So
yeah.
So there could be just some hidden value for our fans, right? Like we're not guaranteeing or locking these in. It's just, hey,
These aren't the easy
want
locks.
a little
These are
edge.
these
Yeah.
are just some stuff to spice it up a little bit with.
Look at PFL 2 Fridays ago. Zoni picked all underdogs. They all came through. They're all plus 300 plus. And hey, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. And I'm, of course, last night on PFL, every single favorite won.
Yeah.
So that's the way the world works. And hey, it was nice to see the Red King back on top.
Yes.
Our boy Rory McDonald, right? So shout out to him. And hopefully he can make a run for that $1 million purse. That'd be nice to see.
Him and Ray Cooper in the final, hopefully.
Well, Cooper's performance was pretty crazy too.
Yeah,
that guy's a killer, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, any parting tips for our fans here? Do you think that's a wrap for episode 43, boys?
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. So let's quickly recap: Reyes, money line. We also like the under in the Swanson fight, and Jotko and Stamen. I think those by decisions, as you guys said, they're both around plus 400, plus 300 or so, both of them. Those look like lovely values. So I think that's some good place to go into for this weekend.
I think there was an over in the Reyes fight as well, right? 1.5
Oh yeah,
rounds.
yeah, you're right. Over
1.5.
Yeah, 1.5 minus 150.
Could
Put
be
that
nice to
with,
parlay with one of those values.
Yeah.
Right. Get that multiplier up. Get that nice.
Get ahead of that book.
Yeah, totally. So it sucks. Next Friday had a big cancellation today. I forgot to say, but Yoel Romero will be fighting. So, anyways, our
boy Josh Hill.
Josh Gentleman Hill. Yeah,
Yep.
that'll make up for things. So make sure to lock him in because I think he's an early underdog, and I think there's some great value there for this next Bellator.
By decision.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah.
Lock it in early. That's great dividends. Anyways, enjoy the event this weekend, guys, and all the best. Cheers.
Cheers, boys. Next up on the Hooks In MMA podcast, we have 22-4 UFC fighter. He's got a big fight coming up on October 31st at the Apex against Mahmoud Muradov. We have Krzysztof Jotko. How's it going today?
Hello, everyone. Everything going great. I just come back from another session today. Eat a little bit, take a sleep, and tomorrow sparring day.
Awesome. So how's training going so far for your upcoming fight?
Training doing very good. I train long time because I was think I will fight in the end of August. So I never stop. I just training. And UFC give me offer for before was the 17 October, but I can't go to Abu Dhabi because I make something in America, so I can leave from here. Then they move my fight for 31. So
yeah. So you're originally from Poland, and I know you're living in Florida now. I'm pretty sure, right? Are you at American Top Team?
Yeah, I'm from Poland, but like 4 years I live in Florida, and I train American Top Team. Correct.
Yeah. So I was just curious. What kind of hobbies did you have growing up in Poland, and what was it like growing up there?
Because before my MMA career, my hobby was breakdancing. So like people ask me, what's your start before MMA? I say, I never start something. I was the breakdancer, b-boy. So this was my big hobby, and I also travel. I was like 47 or 37 country already. Maybe before I die, I see everything. I hope. This is my hobby. So see our world before I'm die.
So what got you into MMA then?
What got me to the MMA?
Yeah.
This is like little story because I was watch the first UFC events what they put for Polish TV, and I watched the fight Tito Ortiz versus Ken Shamrock. And after this fight, I know what I want to do in my life, and I know I'll be a UFC fighter. And after this fight, when I see this fight 6 years later, I signed with the UFC.
Yeah, it's sometimes that hooks you in, right? You just see something and it just piques your interest, and then you go from there.
Yeah, and I was very good there. My old coach, he say, you have a talent, you have a talent, you have a talent. But in the beginning, I was like, I just play, I come here to have a nice time. But it was longer, and I just recognized like, oh shit, I think this is my work now.
Yeah, and you got better and better, and it's worked out for you.
Exactly.
So you said you're at American Top Team. Who are your coaches and just some training partners that push you every day?
Now I train with Mike Brown, Thiago Alves. Thiago Alves is like my head coach for my 3 last fights and for this another fight. And I also train with Steve Mocco, the wrestler coach. Sparring partners is a lot. Now was coming to Jarosław Amoski. I don't know. He's like a Bellator fighter. He have a 24-0 or something like that. Sambo guy.
Yep.
Amazing. Very good. Santiago Ponzibino. A lot of people. I even don't know exactly the name, but it's like a lot of people there,
So I'm a big Santiago Ponzinibbio fan. He hasn't fought in a while, but he's on a big win streak. Has he been injured, or is he just not wanted to fight, or what's going on?
I can say it was injured, but it was not exactly injured. It was something like he have a surgery in a hospital.
Okay.
And after surgery, he have the blood infection.
Okay.
And this is very seriously shit. And 1 year ago, I see him. He looked like alcoholic, like so skinny. The bacteria like take everything from him, the soul, muscle, like power. He was walking like old guy, but now he feeling good, feeling better, and I think he back to the.
That's good to hear, because number one is the health. So good to hear that he's doing better. But two, as a fan, like he was on a good win streak and he could do some damage at 170. So let's hope he gets back soon. So yeah, you're 9-4 in the UFC, and you're on a 3-fight winning streak. So just talk about your experience thus far coming into the UFC and finally, getting on a nice win streak here and a big fight coming up. Talk to your experience.
Like I tell in the beginning, I was 7 years breakdancer. After this, I moved to Warsaw and I started to train MMA. Like straight MMA. I never trained boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, or whatever before. So I was start to do MMA. Like if you're not very good fighter, you don't have a lot of money from this. So in the beginning, I was like, I was trained, but I was also working. I'm the welder.
Yep.
So I was welder. So I was working construction, go to train, back home. And I don't feel the sense in the beginning. I was like, for me, it's no sense to do the MMA. So I was like 2 times try to quit. And I moved to abroad, to Holland or Germany for looking for work, for looking some money.
Yep.
But I think everything what I do, go somewhere for the work, looking for work, everything was fucked up for me all the time. So I go to Holland, everything was sucks. So I come back, I go to Germany, everything was not good again. So I back to Poland, I say, okay, I was try it 2 times, go to abroad to make some money, but I don't know, I can't. So I need to be fighter, and I start to be fighter. And I have a 13 win streak. And then UFC called me in 2013, in May, I signed the contract, and I have the first fight in UFC. And it was in Australia with Bruno Santos. And I have a 13-0 and he have a 13-0. So this was my first fight in UFC.
Yeah, I remember that fight. And then, you've racked up, now you have 13 fights in the UFC, which is extremely impressive. So you're fighting Mahmoud Muradov on October 31st. What do you know about him, and how's training going for that fight?
He's like a Tajikistan guy, but he living in Poland. He trained in Poland this time. He have a pretty good records, 26 wins or 24 wins, 6 losses. He's like experienced. But like I talk with my friends and my coaches, he's very experienced, very good, but he don't fight long time in a high level. You know, I fight 7 years in the UFC.
Yeah.
7 years I fight with like the best guys on the world. I beat Scott Askam, I beat Eric Anders, Stamder McCory, Tyler Slater. So when I see my opponent who I fighting and his opponent, so this is completely different league. So, but I don't say he's bad fighter. He's very good fighter. He move like almost can say similar like me. He have a very good footwork. The boxer guy. He also have some wrestling. I think will be super excited fight for the fans, and I'd be ready to.
Yeah, I agree. That'll be a good card too with Anderson Silva and Uriah Hall. You know, you have been on this win streak though, and it does matter who you fought. So I think you know, we think you're gonna prevail on that. You fought the tougher competition, like you said, so that does matter. You know, after fights, once you've gone through a training camp and you fight, what do you like to do just to have fun or just get you know, get all the stress off of, you know, the build up for the fight?
You know, I live in Florida, so I live very close to Disneyland and shit like this. So it's like 3 hours close to me.
Yeah.
Drive. So every time when I have a time, I take my girl, my dogs, and we go rent some house in a lake and stay all day in a park like the Disneyland.
Yep.
And in the evening, we just hang out with the water, with a barbecue and a fire.
Yeah, that sounds good. So I was going to ask, you know, what are your hobbies, and do you have like a family? So you have a girl, you have some dogs. What do you like to do for fun?
With my family?
Yeah.
We are in Florida, so we use water a lot. So like we go somewhere for like the kayak or paddleboarding or jet ski.
Awesome.
It's a lot of fun in Florida. And in the beginning of this year, I started to use it because first my 2-3 years, I was just train. And now I'm just need to live a little bit.
Yeah, you got to have fun too, right? You got to balance it out.
Be at the gym all the time because you
go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Last segment, between rounds. So I'm going to ask you a question. There'll be a couple answers you just have to give. Okay.
Okay.
Favorite food?
Thai food.
Your favorite sport other than MMA?
You can say breakdancing is sports.
Yeah. Do you watch football too? Polish football?
No, I like to more soccer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Breakdancing or soccer. Yeah.
Would you rather stay in a hotel or go on like a destination like camping or something like that?
No, camping, 100%.
Your favorite getaway spot in the USA?
Getaway spot? Vegas.
What about Poland? What about Poland?
What to say?
What's your favorite spot in Poland to go to?
Favorite spot in Poland. Favorite spot in Poland. I'm from Olsztyn. This is it's like in America you have a state. In Poland it's like no state, but we can check. Right, like and explain you. It's like a state. So I'm from Missouri. Missouri is mean place where it's just forest and lake, river, something like North Carolina.
Okay.
So when I go to Poland, I always go to the forest in the lake, take the house, and I stay there for a couple of weeks.
That's the kind of thing I'm doing next week, so I can't wait for that.
Where
am I going?
Yeah.
Just up north in Canada here, Northern Ontario. It's like, you know, yeah, there's nobody around. You got the whole lake to yourself, so it's good. If you didn't pick the United States or Poland, what's your favorite country?
Well, what if I don't?
Favorite country, but you can't pick the States or Poland.
Thailand is the best country in
Thailand?
the world.
Favorite type of music?
Reggae.
Favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie? Kickboxer, the Van Damme movie. This is my boy.
It's a great movie. And top 5 MMA fighters of all time, pound for pound.
I can talk about the GSP too.
Yep.
Number 1, GSP. Number 2, Khabib. Number 3, John Jones. Number 4, Amanda Nunes. Number 5, Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Love it. Who do you think would win between Khabib and GSP?
If GSP will be young, I will say GSP, but I don't know. It's hard to say. But my head is from GSP.
And on October 31st, Miradov or Jotko, and how does it finish?
It will be TKO third round.
And do you have any sponsor shout outs or social media to finish up?
I want to thank you so much for my Vitargo sponsor supplements and also new sponsor where I signed today, Nootropics. And of course, my gym, my mom, my wife, and everybody who support me and who helped me with this camp.
Congratulations on signing that, by the way. We really appreciate your time. I know, we made it work today. 22-4, 3-fight win streak. He's going to make it 4 on October 31st. Ahmed Muradov is going to lose in the 3rd round TKO. We heard it here first. Thank you so much for coming on, Krzysztof Jotko. This is Hooks In MMA. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up on the Hooks In MMA podcast, we're lucky to have on, Kai Kamaka. He's from Hawaii. He's got 3 kids, and he's got his youngest here in his hands. Thanks so much for your time, man. How's it going?
It's going good. Just kind of relaxing, enjoying the rest of the night with my family after a hard day of training. So, yeah.
Yeah. Now that I see that, I hate to take time away from your family, so I'll make sure I make it quick. Just getting into the UFC, one of my favorite fights was one of your first ones, and you ended up getting the decision win. How does this move forward? Like your last fight, you had a loss, you're 1-1. How does that move forward for you in your 3rd fight here coming up?
Well, one, I made a lot of changes since that time. Whether it was good for the greater good or what, I made a lot of changes since my first fight. And I don't really look at that last fight as a loss. I mean, I took that fight on 7 days notice. I went for it, and I moved here 7 days prior to getting to that call. So I hope to get that one back. But Jonathan Pierce, he got me at the right time in my life, and that's it. It was a good learning experience.
Yeah, and that's what happens, right? Like, just an average fan or somebody that just watches UFC here and there, they don't understand like what goes into fighting. Like, you don't just show up and you just win. Like, you got to put a lot of effort into it. Like you said, you got to move around. Like, there's a lot. People have lives, right? Like, so it's absolutely normal to go through some struggles and find your way. What gym are you currently at, and who are your coaches in your corner for your upcoming fight?
So I'm at Extreme Couture in Las Vegas. Probably one of the very, very few, gyms that have world-class talent walking in and out. They're like, at least, I guess top tier gym. There's not too many, and I feel like Extreme Couture is one of them. My coaches for this fight, guys, is gonna be in my corner, is my buddy, my good friend Boston Salmon, one of my main partners. And then I have Jimmy Gifford, my boxing coach, and my head coach Eric Nixick.
Yeah, we talked to Eric a few weeks ago. Absolutely, unbelievable career thus far. Like last year, Coach of the Year. Francis Ngannou obviously wins heavyweight championship. A lot of good vibes, a lot of good stuff coming from that camp. Eddie Barroso, talked to a few, couple of guys that have a lot of success. Dan Ige. What's going on at Extreme Couture? Why is this gym the gym to go to? Why are these guys the guys to lead? And why are you happy with what's going on there?
I cannot speak for, I'm just based off going of what I feel. I mean, there's just a good camaraderie there. It's a great place for me as far as the people that's in the gym, the coaches there. And I just feel like it's the right fit for me. But as far as the rest of the success, I think that it's just the next man up type of mentality. Everybody, you see that the talent that walks to the gym, and you say, why not? Why can't that be me? And I think that's just the energy that is fully coming around to everybody in the gym.
Yeah, and you mentioned one word, camaraderie. When I grew up, I played a lot of rugby. Commitment, camaraderie, and competitiveness were the 3 C's that our coaches preach. So camaraderie is, 1/3 of what you're talking about at your gym. So you need that teamwork atmosphere, right, for everyone to be better. So yeah, with this upcoming fight, how do you feel about it, and how do you think that plays out for you?
What was your question again? Sorry.
No worries. Your upcoming fight, how do you feel about that, and what's your outcome? How do you think this will play out?
Honestly, I can't tell you how it's gonna play out, because he's training for what he has seen of me, but that's totally different of what he's gonna get. But the outcome, I see myself winning. I have a lot more skills now than what you've seen, what you've seen prior to me, what you've seen from my last fight, what you've seen from my UFC debut. There's just a lot more skills that was added on to my game, and I can honestly say that. So I don't know what's gonna happen in that fight, but all I know is I'm gonna be winning.
Yeah, and I've seen that skill too, and that's one of the reasons why I reached out to you. I really see a bright future for you. TJ Brown, though, has lost 2 in a row, so he obviously doesn't want to make it 3. So I'm sure he's going to come at you, but I think you have what it takes to dethrone him and maybe send him packing. The last little segment here is called Between Rounds. I'm going to ask you my best question. You give me your best answer.
Okay.
What's your favorite kind of food to eat?
My favorite kind of food to eat, Hawaiian food, Hawaiian cultural food.
Give me one name to something. I've never been to Hawaii, so.
A good lau. It's lau. It's called lau.
What's your favorite sport other than MMA?
Other than MMA would be wrestling.
Favorite country in the world other than the US?
Country in the world? Couldn't tell you, because Hawaii was the country until it wasn't.
You ever been to Canada?
I have not.
You come up. I'll make sure that's your number 2 on your list. What's your favorite type of music?
Favorite type of music would be, I don't know. I got a good diversity. I'm open to any type of music. Honestly, I can't tell you.
No, I like
good. I have appreciation for all good musicians.
I appreciate that. And then just a couple guys or girls that when you grew up inspired you as mixed martial artists.
Right now, or BJ Penn, Max Holloway, Ray Cooper. Those are guys that hold big inspirations in my life.
And we'll never look past the next opponent. Like, I know you're focused on that, but just like a dream matchup for you a couple years down the line, a guy that you looked up to that maybe you'd want to fight out of respect, but also to challenge yourself.
A dream fight for me before would have been like Uriah Faber. Growing up, that's like somebody that I just idolized, and you know, I don't want to fight somebody that's towards the end of their career.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. I guess now maybe Cub Swanson.
Okay, that seems to be a guy that comes up once in a while. Canadian fighter up here was supposed to fight him, Gavin Tucker, and then he took the Dan Ige fight and got finished. So
What a good win.
I would have liked to have seen the Cub Swanson fight, but any sponsor shout outs or social media to finish up?
Oh yeah, my Ruka family in Newport. That's my my main sponsor, and then Corey Correa of Landmark Logistics, and the 604 family back in Hawaii. Their chain of restaurants.
Awesome. I only have one child. I have a second on the way. So I only know my job and one and soon to be 2 kids. So I can only imagine what it's like for you with 3 kids and a family, working full time, trying to get that UFC paycheck. So I envy you, and I
don't work full time, but luckily I have an awesome wife that handles a lot of that stress. So I mean, you said that you don't know what it's like for me, but it's actually a breeze for me because my wife takes care of a lot of that.
And there's a weird thing. I actually asked that question because I heard your wife in the background, and I knew you'd say something like that. And you're gonna get you're gonna get some bonus points because of that. Great answer, and I couldn't agree more. We can't do it without the wives. Congrats to you and your 3 kids, and I can't wait to watch your next fight. Good luck, and thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you,
Kai Kamaka. This is Hooks in MMA. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks, buddy. I had somebody else from your